Hi everyone, this is Helen and welcome to Modern Pepper. So last week we made traditional kimbap using BulGoGi and other vegetables that you typically find in Korean kimbap. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure to check it out. And today we will be making two different variations of kimbap, and kimbap is so popular that there's so many variations now. And if you happen to live near a Korean community, you'll always find a few restaurants that specialize in making kimbap only. And they usually have 12 different variations of kimbap, ranging from tuna gimbap to squid kimbap, and then it's so good. So every time I go to these specialty kimbap restaurants, I really have a major food dilemma because I literally want to order everything on the menu because the variations are so unique in their own way. I just want to eat all of them, but there's only so much that I could consume at once. So it becomes a huge dilemma of what to order. Today I'm going to share with you my two favorite ways to enjoy kimbap other than the BulGoGi kimbap, which is my favorite way. And the two other ways that I like to enjoy kimbap is with tuna, and it's canned tuna. I know it sounds weird, but it is so good together. And the second one is kimchi cheese kimbap, and you stuff it with sauteed kimchi and cheese and some other vegetables. So yummy. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is to season your Korean rice for kimbap. Now I highly recommend using Korean rice or sushi grade rice or Japanese rice. Any other Asian rice like jasmine rice and such, it really isn't ideal to make kimbap with, so keep that in mind. And if you want to learn how to make Korean rice, make sure to check out my video on making Korean rice. It's called Korean Rice 101 for hangry souls, and it covers everything you need to know about making Korean rice, as well as taking it to another level of super uber duper healthy rice by adding so many different grains of rice as well as beans. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. Now, when you make rice for kimbap, you want to make it a little bit al dente. So when you cook it, make sure to add about 10% less of water when you make your Korean rice. So we're going to season our rice with some salt. I'm going to add about 4 pinches of salt, and I have about 8 cups of cooked rice. And to this, we're going to add about a teaspoon of sesame oil and a teaspoon of olive oil, and then just mix it up. And when you mix your rice, you want to go sideways and fluff. Like that, sideways, fluff, and turn. You don't want to chop it, you don't want to push it down. You want to be sort of gentle with your rice and mix it by fluffing and turning over. So, unlike sushi rice where you add vinegar and sugar, Korean kimbap rice, you don't add any of that. You just want to season it so that it's slightly salty, with a little bit of that tucked in taste of sesame oil and a little bit of some olive oil. At this point, have a taste and see if it's just slightly salty enough for your taste buds. As you can hear, because the rice is al dente, it's also chewy too, and that's what we want. We definitely don't want to use mushy rice, and it's just slightly salty. Not too salty, but just slightly salty with a little bit of that sesame oil and olive oil taste. Now, many people make the mistake of adding way too much sesame oil to the rice at this point. The last thing you want to use is greasy, oily rice to make kimbap. That just wouldn't taste good. After you're done mixing your rice, it's still very hot. And the last thing you want to do is use hot rice to make kimbap. So you want to take your cheesecloth and cover it like so, and let it rest. We want some of the moisture of the rice to escape. That's why we're covering with the cheesecloth, but we don't want to just expose it to the air and have it completely sort of dry out. So bring your rice to room temperature or slightly lukewarm, then it's ready to roll, okay? To season the tuna for our tuna gimbap, I'm using a 7-ounce canned tuna in water. After you decan it, what you want to do is don't remove the lid, keep it there, and just turn it over. With the lid on top, you just want to squeeze and squeeze to remove the excess water. Oop, it's getting messy. But this is a trick I learned where you kind of extract and squeeze out all the water from the can using the lid of the can to press down and squeeze all the water. Here we go. And to our tuna, we're going to add a tablespoon of mayo about a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, about 10 turns on your pepper mill, 3 pinches of salt, and a dash of paprika, like 1/8 teaspoon of sweet paprika. And we need a 1/2 tablespoon of pureed onion. So using a microplane, just puree your fresh white onion. Almost done. That took literally all of 10 seconds to puree, so it's really not that much work. So always remember, when you use the microplane, a lot of it gets stuck behind the microplane, so make sure to turn it over and scrape off all the stuff that's stuck behind there. Here's a 1/2 tablespoon of our freshly grated onion puree, and we're just gonna mix this up. It smells so good. I always love adding some fresh lemon zest. So when you grate your lemon zest, make sure to go over one spot not more than 3 times, because it's the yellow part of the skin that is really sweet and fragrant. The white part of the citrus skin is bitter, so that's not the part we want to put in our food, just the yellow part. We just want to add a little bit, less than 1/8 of a teaspoon. So literally just this much. Very little. And it's so much better than adding lemon juice to it, because sometimes lemon juice could taste very pungent. Lemon zest, on the other hand, is so fragrant without being pungent or too citrusy. All right, so this looks about done. Oh God, it smells so good. So it doesn't smell fishy anymore, especially with the lemon zest. Oh, it smells so good. So you always have to taste. I always say over and over, you have to taste as you go along. And you want your tuna to be somewhat salty, because the tuna will be the main ingredient that's going to enhance the taste of our tuna gimbap. Oh, that's so yum. And we added such little mayo that you can't even really taste the mayo. But if you like the taste of mayo, by all means add more. I just added a little bit just to save calories. So while we prepare the rest of our ingredients, put the tuna in the refrigerator so it could just relax and hang out in there for a bit. And I want to make a quick announcement that next week I will be doing a special Valentine's Day soju cocktail. Yep, if you've never tried soju, you must give it a try, because it is very, very clean tasting rice spirit. So make sure to subscribe. Click on that subscribe button you see at the corner right there. Click on that so that we can make our raspberry soju cocktail together. We need to get some Korean perilla leaves. These are called 깻잎, and it's basically like Korean basil, I would say. It's very fragrant. It has this like sort of smells like basil, but it has this a little bit of a scallion taste to it, and then it tastes very nutty, and also a little bit like Italian parsley smell. So it's a combination of all that, and it's such a nice herb to add to your Korean stews, to salads. So this with tuna, it goes so well together. So you need a little bit of Korean perilla leaves that you can find at Korean markets. So if you don't live near a Korean market, you could just certainly use basil, or you could use arugula. That would be a good combination, or both of that. And we need some carrots. So take a large carrot and cut it diagonally like so. And then just take 2 slices at a time and just cut them into strips. And we're almost done. Put your carrots on your platter right here. And we need some cucumber. Cut the ends off. Cut it down the middle. And cut it down the middle again. And again. And what you want to do is remove the seed part where it's very watery. So just cut the center off like that. And here's our last one. And discard the core, or you can nosh on it as a snack. And what you want to do is just cut everything into long strips. Here's one, and continue with your second cucumber. And we need some romaine lettuce. So what I like to do is add 1 leaf of romaine lettuce for each roll of the tuna gimbap. So take your romaine lettuce leaf, cut it down the middle, and cut off the sort of the center hard core part like this. Discard and continue cutting. And you need 1 avocado, so just go around like so, and then you want to twist to open like that, and then you take your knife and you tap the seed and you twist to remove it, and then you pull this off. And what you want to do is you want to score your avocado with your knife like that. Be careful that you're not going too deep, that you're going to cut the skin of the avocado and cut your hand, so just be gentle. And then using a spoon, just go around and scoop it out. Like so. And your avocados are already sliced, and just put it on your plate. Look at that, you hollow it out pretty easy. And do the same thing with the second one. And I would always add a little bit of salt to your avocado because it really makes the avocado taste extra yum with a little bit of salt. So the other ingredient that you definitely need is some Korean pickled radish. So make sure to have a Tupperware handy because you're not going to use all of this. It's obviously a lot. And pour the excess liquid into your Tupperware like so. I'm going to put this to the side. And with kimbap, you always have Korean radish in it. It's like a must ingredient. So you just want to cut them into long strips. And then they're a little thick, so cut them again. So you want to use 1 strip per roll of your tuna kimbap. So I love the taste of Korean pickled radish. It's so crunchy and it's tangy and it's slightly sweet. That's yum. So yum. As you can hear, it's very crunchy tasting. It's so good with kimbap. So we're going to put this on our platter. Now, what do you do with the rest of this? So what you want to do is put equal parts of water and vinegar. I'm using brown rice vinegar. Just squeeze this one in here. So you just want to put just enough so that the pickles are mostly submerged under the liquid. And then you cover it with the Tupperware. And you put in your refrigerator, and it should be good for you to consume over the next, month and a half or so. This is a tip that I'm sharing with you because most people don't know, and they just like put it in there without any vinegar and water, and it kind of gets really dry and loses its sort of crunchiness. So this is a good way to preserve its crunchiness and keep it moist. Okay, all right, we're almost ready to start rolling. So you want to use kimbap seaweed that is sushi grade, and not the one that like if you put in front of your face you can see through. That's for like everyday eating with a little bit of rice on the side. So you want to make sure you grab some kimbap kim or sushi grade kim. And then the other thing you need is a bamboo sushi mat. You can find at any Korean grocery stores, or you could order them online. And I will have the link for this along with all the other ingredients and products that we're using today. So make sure to check out my blog for this recipe, and I will have that blog link in the description box below. So when you're ready to make it, check it out. Put your sushi mat down flat like so. Then take your seaweed. This side's shiny, and you'll notice that the other side is a little bit rough, and you want the rough side to be facing up. And it's always a good idea to have a little bit of water on the side to just wet your hands before you grab your rice. So grab about a handful of rice like this, and each roll should take about 1.5 to 2 cups of cooked rice, and just spread the rice evenly like so. And make sure that you're not crushing or pressing down so hard on the rice, because you want to make sure that the rice grain is still intact and not crushed or bruised. And make sure you're covering about 2/3 of the seaweed roll like that. And you want to make sure that the layer is not too thick. You should still be able to see spots of the seaweed in between the rice. A lot of people make the mistake of putting way too much rice and pressing so hard down on it, and it literally becomes a paste of rice, and that's the last thing we want. We want our rice grains to be still intact and just fluffy. So when you get your perilla leaves, you want to cut off the stem like so. You want to take your perilla leaves and lay it across, and if they're big leaves you only need to use 2. If they're small you might need to use 3, and for me I have to use 3 because these aren't big enough. And we're going to take our tuna and lay it across. Like so. Make sure you kind of create a nice mountain of tuna like so. And then you want to flip it over and roll it so our tuna is protected. Avocado. You're going to take your strips of carrots and your cucumber and your strip of Korean radish. Take a few grains of rice like that, squish it down the edge, and this will act as a glue as we seal our kimbap roll. And then we take our lettuce leaf and then another one like so. You want to make sure you pick up the sushi mat with your two thumbs and you roll it over like that. And then you stop right here where the mat meets the rice and you squeeze. And then you squeeze gently. And then you roll it forward and then flip the mat over and hold it in place like that. And then you squeeze gently again and you roll forward like that. And then you turn it over and bring the roll back as far as you can and then roll it like that. And then squeeze, squeeze gently like that. And it is ready. And once you're done rolling, make sure you dip your finger in some olive oil, rub it in your hands like that, and then you coat your kimbap roll like that with your hands, just with a little bit of olive oil. And grab a plate and make sure the end part right here is facing down and let it sit here and rest for a good 5 minutes. So look at that. So we just rolled up our tuna kimbap, and what we're gonna do is let this rest. Take your sushi mat and cover it. And now we're gonna get started on preparing the ingredients for our kimchi cheese kimbap. Okay, so I have about 2 cups of kimchi, and I'm using pogi kimchi, the one that's not pre-cut. And what you wanna do is cut the root tip off like so using scissors. And you know, if you want to cut your kimchi on a cutting board and make a big mess for you to clean up all the kimchi juice afterwards, you can certainly do that. Or you could do it over a plate using kitchen scissors. Then you just throw the dish in the dishwasher and call it a day. And typically when you make kimchi kimbap, you're using really fermented kimchi that's so fermented that it needs to be washed. So you definitely don't want to use fresh kimchi. You want to use kimchi that's a bit, you know, a little bit fermented. Cut your kimchi like so. And my kimchi right now, it is a little bit fermented, but not too fermented that you have to wash it. So I'm not gonna wash mine. And for those of you who've never seen my other videos, I always cook with these disposable kitchen gloves because, you know, I really don't like to touch acidic stuff and then wash my hands a lot. And my hands are already so raw from being a mom of 3 and having to constantly wash my hands. So anyway, I highly recommend using these disposable kitchen gloves, and I will have links for you to purchase this online if you're interested. So take some of your kimchi, put it in your hand, and just squeeze out the excess juice. There we go. And then put it in a bowl. Squeeze and make sure you don't splatter any kimchi juice on yourself when you're squeezing this. And I don't know what I was thinking wearing beige and white today doing this. There we go. Now we're gonna lightly saute this on the frying. Preheat your frying pan, add 1/2 tablespoon of olive oil. Bring your heat down to medium, add your kimchi. And we're just gonna quickly stir fry this. So it's been about 2 minutes since we've been sauteing our kimchi on medium heat. And to this, we're gonna add 1 scallion that we finely chopped. And I have 2 tablespoons of water and 1 tablespoon of honey in warm water. And I'm just gonna pre-mix this. And certainly you could use sugar instead, but you know, by now you should know that I prefer to cook with honey instead. This is almost done. So just mix it up. We're gonna add just a little bit of toasted sesame seeds, less than 1/2 teaspoon. And tiny drizzle of sesame oil. That's about half a teaspoon of sesame oil. And this is done. Now quickly transfer this to a plate and bring it to room temperature. Oh, this smells so good. It smells tangy and slightly sweet, but let's have a quick taste. Oh, that's yum. So now we have to cool this down because the last thing you want to do is add hot kimchi to your kimbap. Now the other ingredients that we need to make kimchi cheese kimbap is some pickled Korean radish 단무지, and we need some cucumber strips, and we need some cheese. I'm using cheddar cheese, and you could use American cheese or whatever cheese of your choice. And we need some egg. To make our egg, take a large nonstick frying pan, make sure to preheat it at medium temperature, and I have 3 eggs here, and you just want to lightly beat them. So beat it so that you're whipping a lot of the air in here. Add about half a tablespoon of olive oil. Make sure to evenly distribute the oil like so. And pour our egg in here. So move your pan around to cover the entire base of the frying pan with the egg. Slowly. And remember, the key is to have the frying pan at like medium temperature. You don't want the heat to be so high that it'll start like burning the egg. So we want to slowly cook the egg like so. And then take your spatula and just kind of tap the outer rim so it kind of doesn't stick. So you see it bubble over, you just tap it. You want to just gently pick it up, go underneath. Just pick it up and flip it over. And if at this point your egg breaks apart, no need to worry because we're going to cut them into strips anyway. So at this point, I'm going to turn off my heat, add a little bit of salt, like so, and a little bit of black pepper. And we're going to pick up our egg like so and transfer this to a plate. And let this rest on your plate like so for a couple minutes until it becomes room temperature, and then it's ready. So here's the egg that we made, and what you want to do is once it comes to room temperature, roll it over like that, and then cut them into big strips, about 3/4 of an inch wide, like that, and then put it on your plate. Now on to rolling our kimchi cheese kimbap. Wet your hands with a little bit of water. Grab your rice and just spread your rice like you did earlier. Make sure your seaweed sheet is along the edge of the sushi mat like so. We're going to take our cheese, break it in half, put it down right here. Then we're going to take our kimchi, mountain of kimchi like that, and just use your hand to kind of press it down and make it compact. And then we're going to take our pickled radish. And this one's really thin, so I'm going to put 2. I'm going to put our cucumber and our egg. Take some rice grains and put it along the edge of your seaweed sheet, like so. And you want to pick up your sushi mat with your 2 thumbs right here. Hold your ingredients in place like so, and roll it over. Right here. And then we squeeze. And then roll forward a little bit more. Fold this mat over and then hold it in place and squeeze gently. And then roll forward, turn it over and bring everything up and then roll it and then just squeeze. There you go, turn it over and look at that. And with the edge seal part facing down, place it on a flat plate and let it rest for 5 minutes and continue rolling. Look at our tuna gimbap and our kimchi cheese gimbap. They've been resting for 5 minutes, so now we're going to get ready to start cutting. It's going to be so yum. All right, so good idea to have some olive oil and some wet paper towel handy when you start cutting your gimbap. So let's cut our tuna gimbap. So with the edge facing down, using a serrated knife, I highly recommend using a serrated knife. Just go back and forth without pressing down on the kimbap. And the ends, I love the ends, look at that. Does that look pretty or what? This is my favorite part. And Let's cut our first piece. Ooh la la, look at that. Does that look pretty or what? That looks super yum. Look at that. So by the time you cut your first one, you'll see that the knife is a bit starchy, so you wipe it down. And then you dab your finger in the olive oil and then just coat your knife just a little bit. Never use water to do this because the water is the enemy when you cut kimbap. And continue cutting. And here is our kimchi cheese kimbap. Oh, this is gonna be so yum. Look at that. Look at the end piece, it's so pretty. Here we go, our first slice. Ooh la la, look at that. That is so pretty. And there we go. You know what the best part of kimbap is? The ends. For me, I think the ends are the best. Look at this tuna gimbap. Look at that. Is that pretty or what? All right, so I'm gonna have a taste to make sure it's good. So good. But that was a really big bite. But that's also the fun part of eating the end pieces because it's really big. But it's loaded with extra ingredients, that's why I love it. Wow, the tuna kimbap is so good. The tuna is just slightly salty and it has that yummy tuna taste that we all love. A little bit of that creamy taste from the avocado, and then the pickled radish gives it this like little tangy, crunchy pickle taste. And then the cucumbers and then the fresh carrots just adds a layer of crunchy taste. But what really pulls this together is the genyip, the Korean perilla leaves. Oh, it really adds this like really nice, refreshing herb taste. And then the extra crunchiness also from the romaine lettuce that we added together. It's just like a really nice, perfect combination. This you have to try. This is unlike your sushi. You never ever dip Korean kimbap in soy sauce because it is made so that it's perfectly seasoned. It's so good. Oh, I could just have another, but I'm gonna stop because I wanna taste our kimchi cheese kimbap. This is gonna be uber good. It's so big that I have to take 2 bites, I think. I don't think I fit this whole thing in my mouth. But the end pieces are the best. Okay, here we go. That's good. And then I'm gonna finish this bite. This is uber good. You could taste a little bit of the cheese to give you that little bit of cheesy taste in the background, but the kimchi steals the show. The kimchi is not spicy, it just adds this like crunchy, slightly pickled taste, and it's a little bit garlicky, salty, and then you add the egg that gives it a little bit of that soft texture, and then the refreshing cucumber taste with the Korean radish. Really yum. I mean, these two are my other 2 favorites other than my ultimate favorite, which is the BulGoGi kimbap. So good. You never ever throw away uneaten kimbap. That would just be sacrilegious. You never do that. So if there's any leftover kimbap, wrap it up. You could double, triple wrap it and put it in the freezer. Just stack all the kimbap slices together. Or you could put it in the refrigerator if you're gonna eat it the next day. So make sure to watch my video on making traditional kimbap, which I did last week, because that video also includes a bonus recipe where I show you how to take your refrigerator kimbap, and when you refrigerate your kimbap, it gets very rubbery and hard, and it really isn't appetizing. And you could try to put it in the microwave, but it comes out tasting like really bad. It's not good that way either. So I share a tip with you on how to recycle your refrigerated, rubbery, dry kimbap into something so scrumptious, so yummy. So make sure to check out that video. And you could do the same for your tuna gimbap and your kimchi gimbap that you don't eat today, so that you can recycle it for another meal, another day. So make sure to check that out. I have to go because I'm going to finish this before my children come home because this is so yummy. If you enjoyed watching this video, I would greatly appreciate a thumbs up. So make sure to click on that thumbs up icon. And I hope you try this recipe at home with your family and friends. It's a great party appetizer. And I want to make a quick announcement that next week's recipe is on making soju cocktail for Valentine's Day. Yes, I use fresh raspberries to make a delicious soju cocktail. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure to click on that subscribe button that you see at the corner right there. Click on that so that you will be notified when I upload my video for making raspberry soju cocktail in time for Valentine's Day. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching. And until next time, happy tuna gimbap and kimchi cheese gimbap time with your family and friends. Bye now.